Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and of course Diablo 4. Today marks my first of a series type for Diablo, something I've done for a variety of games but never this one. It's a fun little list of things that you didn't know, whether that's something interesting or often really useful details the majority of the player base seem unaware of. Tricks and tips here and there, but also unique or lesser known details, sometimes lore related or even surrounding the game itself. So today I put together a little mix of useful things with a couple entertaining things too. But if you guys know anything useful or interesting that you think most don't know, then share it in the comments and we might just be able to make another episode. With that said though, let's begin. We start with a weird one. A secret quest that's rarely completed called the Way of the Three. That's because it's very well hidden, but it's pretty cool how it actually works. The quest begins by finding the three unique primeval statues of Baal, Diablo and Mephisto. The statues themselves, I didn't even know they existed until this, and they all look very cool. Either way, we need to go to each statue and activate them basically by cheering, do that emo. And you can do this in any order, but each is found generally near an altar. The Diablo statue can be found in the Altar of Terror near the Gear Cull City. Just head over there and cheer in front of it, and as you can see, the hands of the statue light up with fire, which also shows that this one's done and complete, so we can move on. So next we go north to the Altar of Ruins, found near the Iron Wolves encampment. Just before the Forsworn dungeon, you can find this statue of Baal, but you'll need to first have beaten the stronghold that actually blocks this area first. So the statue's found in the boss room where you kind of ended the stronghold, and once again in front of the statue we cheer, and this one lights up just one hand and the orb that it's actually holding. Lastly, we have the Mephisto statue, which is quite worn down and broken, hidden under some rubble. The nearest waypoint this time is Denshar. Literally as you exit the town to the northwest, you walk past the statue, and this is one that I've actually walked past countless times and never actually noticed. So again, if we go in front of it and cheer, it'll light up, but this time with blue in the statue's eyes. And this finally unlocks the side quest, the Way of the Three. We can find the quest just to the east of the Imperial Library waypoint, and the details of the quest can be pretty cool, so it's worth going and doing yourself if you're interested in lore. But in short, you find a slain knight and an inactive plate by a Hellgate. Above the plate you can see these three primeval sort of weights, and the fires will be lit up with their own colours if you activated the statues. When we touch the plate and the side quest itself then, we activate a mysterious gateway, one that actually looks like the Mephisto gates throughout the main story. Inside of this is a failed ritual of contacting the primevals. You'll find a body of a high priest that's lain there for an unknown amount of time, but seemingly a really long time. When you touch that body, a ghost appears though to give you some context as to what actually happened here, and after a short event with some combat, you'll complete the side quest. The reward is a couple items, and hey, the titles Triune and Trouble. The chest piece you get is a unique reward called the Hellfire Halberd, a Stygian suit of armor bearing the smouldering name of a faithful soul on every scale and plate, and while worn, barely audible screams can always be heard. Delightful. It seems to me that the cultists here super long ago were trying to contact the three primevals, but something went wrong and they all perished. Either way, the story and lore here ties to the Triune and old Diablo history, so if that interests you, it might be worth a look. It's a shame there's nothing too impactful or useful here, but hey, titles are titles. Moving on from a very hidden side quest, let's now talk about something pretty damn useful. The ability to reach 15 Legion campfire stacks so that you reach max XP from Legion events instantly. Sometimes, you reach an event late and you maybe miss all of the stacks or entirely miss them, so you're getting less XP than if you had the max stacks of 15. With this trick, you only actually need to arrive just before the event begins, even just a few seconds, to reach the max 15 stacks and not miss out. And the trick is actually really simple and easy. All you need to do is activate or stoke the bonfire once, and then when it's lit, you mount up and stand right over it while on the mount. For whatever reason, the stacks will now race to the max cap of 15 super quick, which is perfect for maximizing your time and XP at these events. Why is this happening? Well, I don't know, it's impossible to say really, but it seems to be something to do with the mount. You need to actually be on the mount for it to work. Maybe the move speed of the mount stacks up the speed of the stacks gained? I don't know, but seems like a bug to me. One that's actually helpful and I hope that stays in the game. It causes no harm and just rewards players who are actually aware of it, so I don't see why they would remove it, but this is Blizzard we're talking about, so if any fun's detected, they could remove it. Hopefully not though. According to people who were discussing this bug on Reddit, you can apparently attack the bonfire to make this effect even faster, and in my testing, I could not get that to work. To be honest, I'm reaching 15 stacks in seconds anyway, so if we were to speed that up, what would it be, in like a second? I don't think that barely, it doesn't matter. But yeah, if you're doing Legion events, be sure to take advantage of this little trick. Here's another one then that might be useful to you. Did you know that it's technically possible to double spawn world bosses? Or hey, even other events like Legion events. This seems to work in relation to your layer, you know, the instance that exists with you and a capped amount of other players on that layer. Technically, there's many other players in the exact same location as you, that's a big player base, but it'd be hell on the servers in your gameplay if we were all on the same layer, basically overloading everything. Imagine never being able to even see a mob because the moment it spawns in, it dies, and other silliness like that. So when you're in the open world, you go in between layers quite a lot, and when you enter the world boss area, you actually get put into a new layer with the world boss spawning and ready to go at the timer. Sometimes you arrive late, and for me, I've just shown up and it's just been me and a couple other late players, and we've killed it with only a few of us instead of say the 16 you might normally see. As it turns out, because of this layering system, you can exit one layer and enter another around these events. Technically then, it's possible to kill a world boss and then instantly enter another layer where, yeah, a new world boss is just spawning. This was best shown by a clip posted on the Reddit yesterday on the Diablo 4 Reddit by Cricket1011. As you can see, Crick here is waiting for the boss to spawn with apparently 15 other players. The cap for players here is allegedly 16, since these bosses would die so fast if you had like 40 or even 100 players here or something. Either way, the world boss spawns here in this case and dies as normal, and it takes about 20 seconds for these players to do it. This means the timer for other players to make it late and still get a world boss spawn is still going, and that's what happens to Crick. It looks like Crick goes over to their party member's instance because said party member ported in right as the boss had died. This loaded them both into a new layer where there was a late world boss spawn occurring with a couple other late arrivals who'd spawned it. So just like that, Crick was able to kill not one but two world bosses within a minute, which is pretty cool. Within the thread of this post though, many people were explaining how this happened to them even in other events, like Legion events, where they just cleared it and then refreshed the event in a similar way. Unfortunately, in the case of the world boss though, Crick didn't get like 2 sets of loot. After all, you're meant to kill each world boss once per week, right? But Crick stated that they only got 1 set of loot in general, not specifically only 1 cache, for example. So you might not get any extra loot of any kind, I don't know. My question here is, what about say the season journey credit? On the final chapter, you have to kill 12 world bosses, so maybe these 2 kills, would they count towards that? Could be a way to speed up that process. Either way, it's an interesting trick with layering, and one that I wonder if we could actually use intentionally for impactful purpose. Next up though, a little fun look at Diablo 3 and 4 compared to each other, because various locations you go through in 3 can actually be found in 4. Shot for shot, same locations with different details, because it's just a massive gap in the time between them. If we look at some of the shots of Diablo 3, we can see the hidden camp, that main hub for the second act of Diablo 3. It's the very same place that you go to in Diablo 4, found in Kazakhstan, overlooking Chaldeum, that city. As you can see, it's the same path that leads in and up, the very same area in the middle, just worn away by time. There's some of the ultra old buildings and structures that remain, they're just fallen or even buried in the sand. The old waypoint still exists, but obviously back in Diablo 3 it's a lot clearer and maintained, set above the ground in Diablo 3. Whereas 4, we have the stones and so on, they're still there, but they're very buried, broken and cracked even. But the waypoint itself does hold its shape. The coolest part is to the northwest, where you actually approach the overlook of the city itself. There's that same wooden platform that's still hanging on somehow, or maybe they've rebuilt it. Between that and Diablo 3, you had these 2 buildings, one that was in disarray and another that was in use. All that remains now is this cart, and hey, that old disarray building is still, yeah, pretty much the same. The wooden platform ahead gives you that nice view across to the city, but it's much more inviting in Diablo 3, that's for sure. Surprisingly, the crane system to the left remains in shape. Maybe just like the wooden platform, they've been updating and maintaining it. There's also another area from 3, found in 4, the road to Alcanus. In 3, there was an encounter with Magda, the leader of a coven within this area. These days though, it's a stronghold that you free up. Also with a waypoint that was once well kept but now completely covered and broken by time and sand. What's cool about this is how there used to be that entrance to the layer itself, and now it's just a passage that you walk through. Within you have the same final boss area, where you would face the witch in a fight with these 4 gaps that lead down to a pit below, and it's all still there. spikes and all, even if yet worn and covered in that same sand. This type of stuff is just really neat. Great to see comparisons like this, and it does make me wonder what else is based on Diablo 3's original structure. Will we see anything like this in the expansion? Are there more places in Diablo 4 right now that we could compare like this? Let us know in the comments. Finally though, a quick word on your Paragon boards. There's a surprising amount of people talking about something I thought was maybe more known than it actually is. The order of your boards actually matters quite a lot because it changes the stat requirements for the rare nodes you activate as you go. Rare nodes provide you with some strong effects, right, but they actually grant you a bonus if you meet the stat requirements. An example of that might be, say, 350 wisdom to get some extra resistance to all elements or something like that. That, in that specific case, could be very impactful, especially when you're trying to reach the element resistance cap, and with the Blood Forges coming, said to be much harder than tier 100 content, but also impossible to complete at its max level. At least that's what the dev said. We'll see what reality is like. You definitely want to get the most out of your setup in prep for that. So organizing your board differently than normal might be needed. I think this might have come up more in season 2 specifically because more people are at level 100 now, after they did make the XP much more forgiving. So many more people have access to the full Paragon setup, like say 5 boards in many cases. This results in less priority in reaching X power or legendary ASAP compared to when you're actually leveling. My during leveling boards are so different to the layout of my final boards, and it's why I actually have to go and update my guides from time to time during that section of a season. Once you hit level 100, it doesn't really matter anymore what boards or powers you reach first, you're going to have them all anyway. So it becomes more about how best to lay out things to maximize your results. In my case with Necromancer, that often means putting a board like Scent of Death earlier, which is usually say my 4th and final board during leveling, into the 3rd board's place when I have 5 total. This means I'm actually activating the rare nodes properly in all builds, and while maybe you're a different class to me, this type of thing will surely come up in your own Paragon layouts, so if you weren't aware of that, maybe you are now. But yeah, there you have it. That's my first things you didn't know in Diablo 4. If you've enjoyed this, be sure to drop a like on the video so we know we should make more of these. And of course, if you do know anything that fits in this theme, be it useful or interesting, in or out of game, let us know in the comments. If we feature it, I'll be sure to thank and credit you for the help. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.